everybody. We're going to get started. We've got a great sales meeting planned for you, but before we get there, this week was a really, really cool week. Do you know why?
Nice one.
Nice one. That's a good reason. Not the one I was going for, but definitely a good idea. I got to meet a celebrity, kind of. So anyone ever remember the movie American Pie? Yeah. The Jim's dad. So we went to an event this weekend at Mandalay Bay, and I'm standing at the bar, and the guy getting up from the bar is Jim's dad, Eugene Levy, I think is his name. I was starstruck. His eyebrows just kind of reached out. But anyway, the whole group from Schitt's Creek, they were all at Mandalay Bay for some type of event, and so I got to almost talk to Jim's dad, so that was cool. More importantly, we had some cool awards that were given out, and first and foremost, I want to get up to Roya for Top 25 Women in Real Estate from WCR. Congratulations. Vandana won the Frank Sala Marv Rubin Political Award for LVR, meaning that she's been active in politics at our association, so if you know her, you know why. That award has been all around town, believe it or not. Beta and Tyson have taken it everywhere and taken photos with it, and we're going to get a chain so Beta can wear it. Also at the awards event,
Hall of Fame?
I got Hall of Fame. I know, I was very surprised. Very surprised, thank you. Thank you, thank you. And I'm still shocked, but Tom got Realtor of the Year for all of Las Vegas for 2020. No, I'm not shocked at all. He worked his butt off as our president and deserves every bit of it. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Prosperity, and Jason is going to come up and tell us about a program he has. Give it up for Jason.
Thank you, Chris, and congratulations to everybody. That's fantastic. That's pretty cool. It's great news. Sounds like everybody's doing well, which is good. Prosperity's got some things that are kind of good too. We've got a new broker program that we are working with other people, and we might have the return of stated income. You might have heard that correct. That could be something special. Now, this isn't like the old stated income where you have a pulse and you get a loan type thing. Those are still probably gone. But what this is for is your really good borrower that you're being told basically that you can't do because they didn't do their tax returns properly. Maybe they are in the marijuana industry and their income's not provable. Maybe they're in the service industry and they've been out of work for a while and they're being told that they can't do it. What this loan is simply is you have a good enough credit score, which is 680 or above, and you have enough of a down payment, which in some cases is 25%, some cases 30, some cases 35. It just depends on the situation. You get a loan basically no questions asked. Now, of course, it's not cheap. There's no doubt about it. Anytime they have generosity for something like this, there's always a price to it, but it is far off of where hard money lending is. They're at closer to around like your 5.25 to 5.75 rate, and they're asking for 2 points up front. But that's really not too much of a hit compared to where hard money is, which I'm being told is anywhere from 9 to 13%, and usually 3 or 4 points that are up front. There's also no prepayment penalty on this, so that if they get their tax returns in order, they can refinance it later, and it's a way that they can kind of get themselves into their home. Another thing that it works with is non-warrantable condos. They're doing stuff with foreign nationals. They're doing stuff with the high-rises, so they're being very aggressive, basically. And it is a little bit old school in the sense that if their credit's really good and their down payment is really high, then they're comfortable with the loan, basically. So that's something that we're going to be pitching. I believe I have a lunch and learn on the 23rd, so if you want to learn more about it, I've got some fun PowerPoints and all those kind of things. And if you have any questions, of course, just let us know. And anybody with Prosperity can do this loan. It's not unique to me, so any of the staff can do it, and we hope you give it a try.
Very cool. Thank you, Jason. Okay, so I thought about what would be a great meeting for today, and yes, we have this amazing panel of great brokers that we have, and of course, I know your name, Todd, Tom, and Janet, that will be here with us answering some questions. But I thought, what do we really know about these people? I mean, every day we're interacting with them, but do you really know them as well as you think you do? So I'm going to potpourri in some questions about you guys while I ask some questions about stuff that we're dealing with. No, you can't ask any questions, only me. And if you have any questions, anything that they bring up, just throw up your hand, we'll make sure and get to you. But before I start any of that, does anyone have a listing that's coming to market that we should know about?
I have one that just went on the market.
Wow, okay, that's incredible. That's the one. Go right ahead. Tell us about it.
It's at 92 Glendive. It's in Henderson off 215 and Gibson. It's listed right now at 600,000. I know we're on the super high end. It's a house that we just turned over. It's a 5-bedroom property, 3,089 square feet. Yeah, actually had, no, more than that. We had 3 full bathrooms, 1 half bathroom as well. 1 bedroom downstairs, the bathroom downstairs that actually has a walk-in shower, so it's perfect for people that, you know, don't want 2 stories. It is a 2-story property, but yeah, it's a great home, so anyone that's looking for that price range, definitely give me a call.
Anybody else?
Oh, actually, I have one more. I have another listing that's come, it's technically live, but it's right now no-show because contractors didn't hit their timeline, so this one's gonna be $835,000. It's,
Now you're showing off.
I gotta get you all the details. It's a 11141 Scotts Creek. You can look up all the details on the MLS.
Robert, did you have one? And then Adam has one.
You know it's a good day.
I'm gonna cheat, I just wrote it up this morning. So it's like the northwest, like 95 in Durango area. It's on a 10,000 square foot lot, RV parking, 1-story home. It is 5 bedroom and 3,800 square feet. And I'll put it on agents of signature for you guys. If you have anyone, let me know. It's coming soon this week and then next week going live.
Get up for Robert, he just closed this deal for $1.8 million. That sure put a smile on my face.
I've got a 11965 Port LaBelle, 2.2 million. It's 5 bedroom, 6 bath, 5,600 square feet, going back live today. Also got a condo over by the convention center. It's like a studio, 3 bedroom, or 3-story loft thing. It's 700 square feet for 130,000.
A 3-story, 700 square foot loft?
It's amazing.
It has to be. It's 150 square feet of floor. No, 250 square feet of floor, I can do that. Okay, so first off, the first question we've had, and this just came up in a deal yesterday, Janet has been talking religiously about love letters. And what has she been saying? Don't do them, right? Well, the question came up this week, what if my buyer says, you have to send this with my offer, I'm telling you as my agent, you must do it.
Microphone's right next to you.
Oh, I might need 2 mics. Well, the answer to that question is, yeah, you're supposed to take instructions from your client. However, you need to thoroughly explain the ramifications of doing this, because in this woke society that we are now living in, if you're a mouth breather, somebody's going to discriminate against you because you're not breathing and file a complaint because you're not breathing through your nose. So just be very careful of that. I will tell you, I served last year on the NAR Risk Management Committee, and we had several regional Zoom conferences, and the entire topic of conversation was love letters. And then NAR and the Risk Management Committee calls them liability letters. NAR has said, no, don't do it. Our own attorney has said, no, don't do it. And I understand there was a memo that came out this morning from Deanne Ramirez of NAR. I didn't see it. Chris told me about it, talking about not doing it. We had the general membership meeting at LVR last week. Terry Watson, international wonderful speaker, talked about it in his CE class, which, by the way, was billed as being general, but if you looked at your certificate, it was a risk management class. And he talked about love letters, and he said no. And I'm telling you, there are major issues in California. There are numerous brokerages that have lawsuits right now going on. I didn't get this house because you picked somebody that looks like you. So if you send along a picture of these 2 little blonde girls sitting on the steps going, oh, my girls would love this house, well, the seller may discriminate based on race. Or if you take a picture of 2 little kids, and you write in there, it says, my kids would love to come down the stairs on Christmas morning and see the Christmas tree in front of your big bay window. That's discrimination based on familial status. It's also discrimination based on religion, if that is why you picked this buyer. So you have to explain to your buyer, I understand you really, really, really want this house, but it could be determined to be discrimination, and we could be in for a fair housing lawsuit. That's federal, and we don't want to be there.
You guys have anything you want to add? No. Perfect. Janet said it all.
Who does that land on more, though? Does it land more on the listing agent that is being swayed by the actual love letter, or is it actually the buyer's agent that submits?
So here's what I would suggest. I talked to Terry Watson about this.
She pulled that out of nowhere, didn't she?
I need 2 mics. If you are the listing agent, discuss it with your seller, the ramifications, what's happening in the society that we're living in right now, and say, with your permission, in the agent-to-agent remarks, I'm going to put absolutely no love letters will be delivered to the seller. And that will protect you as the listing agent.
So just to remind you too, in the back of the listing agreement, the last page is a fair housing notice. And it says they'll abide by all fair housing guidelines. The seller in writing has already agreed to abide by that. So that covers that point that they know about it. And it was interesting because when I heard Janet say this, I kind of thought in my mind, okay, that's if I write the love letter, right? I'm writing a letter about my clients to help them get the home. If they write the letter and they just send it, let's say they send it and I don't even know about it, that still could be a violation of fair housing that they could get sued for. And the first person they're going to call into the lawsuit is the real estate agent with a $2 million insurance policy to see what they could do about it. So the whole point is, don't have anything to do with it, don't participate in it at all, and tell your clients, I wouldn't either. And that's the only safe way to go about it. Okay, so for each of you, the first question is, how long, if you can remember, have you been in real estate?
All right, I have the mic. So, I was first licensed in 1983.
That's the year I was born, folks?
Oh, shut up. And I sold real estate for a number of years. My husband was in the Air Force at the time, moved for 2 years, hung my license, came right back, went right back to the same office, the same partner I had, sold real estate for almost 5 years. Then the man made me move to Guam with him for 2 years. So I went to Guam for 2 years, and now...
Wait, you don't have to give the whole history. There's other questions coming.
Well, I can't tell you. I have to, add and subtract the years.
But 1983 is when you got your first license.
That's when I was licensed first, and then I've been here continually selling real estate since 1994.
Any other states?
No.
Okay. Tom, how long have you been licensed since?
1981. That's around about the time I graduated high school. So for me, it's 2005.
Very cool.
And I'm also licensed in California,
Very
which I
nice.
don't practice there.
Tom, were you licensed in any other states?
California.
California.
Okay, perfect. So, wow. Think about all the years of experience, especially with Tom and Janet.
Thanks.
Well, the year I was born, the year you graduated high school, I think they win on that one. Okay, so when it comes, this is a question that came up on our Agents of Signature Facebook page. When it comes to the home warranty and the client asking about it, what is the role in your mind and the expectation of the agent?
Well, for me, we provide to our clients 3 different home warranty names and website addresses, and we ask them to go to those sites and determine from those 3 if they want to use one of those 3. We also offer to provide the rep's phone number if they have questions specifically about that home warranty. And then I share my personal experience about ones that I've had in the past.
Okay, perfect. You want to add a nugget to that?
Yeah, I will just say I go along exactly with what Todd said. You can't be the one that says, use this one because I'm getting a little gift certificate if you do. You can't do that. But I have had occasions where I've given my client 3 choices, and I actually had a retired lady sit at my desk and cry. Cry, because she didn't know anything about any of these people and she wanted me to pick. And I kept saying, I really can't, blah, blah, blah. And then finally I took the 3 home warranty brochures, I shuffled them up, and the one on top, I said, this is the one I have on my own home, but I'm not telling you who to use.
Great point. So I was reading an article the other day. The reason this question made so much sense to me that came up was an agent created an email that went to their client before they wrote the offer on the property. And it said, in anticipation of you writing this offer, you're going to possibly want to select a home warranty company. And here are 4 companies and links to their reviews so that you can find out more about them. Let us know which one you want to use. And it's right in line with what you were saying, that you're the source of the information and they can't point the finger later because you're not an insurance salesman, right? We don't sell home warranties for a living. that's the warranty rep's job. But I love that you answered that way because it makes me feel really good. What jobs did you guys hold before real estate?
I was an elementary school teacher. I taught 6th grade one year, and I said to the principal,
She looked familiar.
I do not like these kids. Move me to another grade or I'm leaving. And so I went to 1st grade and I taught 1st grade for 8 years, and that's why I have such a rapport with my agents. I just treat them like they're 6.
So I was a paramedic in LA County. I worked up at the test site in Area 51 and all that good stuff as a medic. And
That's why it glows in the dark.
I grew up putting groceries on a shelf. We had a family grocery store and then a Hallmark store.
Really?
Yeah. So.
That's why he's so loving. So I started out early in life as a drug dealer. No, I'm just kidding. So I started out life, my father owned an automotive repair shop here in town for about 30 years. I started out cleaning the toilets there when I was in middle school. And I left there when I was about 30. That's a long time ago now that I think about it. And at that point, I was actually running the shop part of that. I had about 22 mechanics that worked under me that I got to manage on a day-to-day basis. And so my job there, by the way, was to mostly answer the phone. And I don't know if you ever had your car break down, but when you call the place that's working on your car, you're never in a good mood. So what I learned was when the phone rang, there was somebody that wanted to talk to me that was pissed off. And I learned to hate the phone from that. So transitioning to real estate made it somewhat difficult for me because the phones were something I really had to be involved in. So I left that business. I opened a landscape company in town for about 6 years. I got a job offer up in Park City, Utah to run a cabin remodel in Park City. I did that for about 18 months. It was just before the Olympics were there. So we tore a cabin down to the foundation and then built a new cabin that they used to house some of the Olympic teams that came. And then I left that and I was a webmaster for a few years selling, if anybody plays golf, Scotty Cameron putters online. Did that for about 4 years. Left that, and then I became a realtor.
Yeah, there you go.
So I've done a few things.
You told a story like Janet. Can you tell Janet, as an elementary school teacher, why she's so nurturing and has such great stories? I'm going to sit on the rug and just listen. But let me tell you something about Tom. This is a true story. We were in the Reno airport. I think Janet was there with me, and we're walking down. We just left a bar, and we're walking down past the bar, and this guy passes out, falls bam, onto the floor, and starts going into a seizure, right? Now, I've never seen him walk very fast anywhere. This guy ran over and started CPR and revived the guy off of the floor till paramedics showed up. So, first off, I'm like, why is he doing that, and is it okay that he's doing that? And then come to find out he was a paramedic. So, pretty cool. If you pass out, now's the time. All good stuff, all good stuff. Okay.
I sent him a letter from the Hallmark store.
Okay, so this is a question that came from an agent this week. When asking for items in the RPA like washer, dryer, or fridge, what are the best practices that you as a broker recommend that they do? Personal property, any personal property.
Go ahead, Tom.
Share your nuggets with us, Tom.
Make sure that you identify the damn thing that you want, right? A stove is not a stove, is not a stove, but a GE stove or a GE hot point stove will be the stove that you probably saw in there, right? Same thing with the refrigerator, same thing with washer and dryers. You see a nice, $2,000 upright washer and dryer, and you put washer and dryer, and you get there, and there's a washer and dryer there, but there are a couple of, $200.
Apartment size top loaders.
So just make sure you identify exactly what it is that you're asking to be included in the RPA.
You guys have anything to add? That was a case that just came up, by the way, at the Board of Realtors. Well, just came up, that was 2 years ago, but someone had put in a washer and dryer. They got a washer and dryer, but it wasn't the Bosch washer and dryer that was there. Difference of $2,500, so we just litigated that. Jack?
Do you need to go as far as putting a serial number in there?
Here's what I think about serial numbers. If I was at a property taking a photo of something, right, and especially if you're doing any type of your own rental properties, great example. Every rental property I own, I've gone and taken photos of the serial numbers, because when there's something that breaks, you can't miss it by the serial number. And when the insurance company comes out to actually claim your item, if you know that serial number, there's no misrepresentation of what it really was. But in our job, I would not write serial number 684 on a personal property addendum, but I think the whole point is, you know what, like Tom said, it's a GE monogram, fridge, that kind of thing.
Well, my thought was, if you get a GE, you can still replace a GE with a GE.
At least you're close,
Yeah.
right? There is still a personal property addendum, right?
There is.
Yeah.
I think it's important to, appliances, they're black, they're white, they're stainless steel. There's black stainless steel now. I think that's a little more important than the serial number, right? If it's a GE stainless steel side-by-side refrigerator, and we put fridge because nobody can really spell refrigerator, right? So, but I think it's important to put down, like, what does it physically look like? Because, this has happened to me. I helped my cousin buy a condo, and I put in there fridge because I couldn't spell refrigerator. Amy wouldn't help me spell it. And we got a fridge, but it was an apartment-sized white fridge, and there used to be a stainless steel side-by-side there, right? So I think it's important that you put a good description of what it is, what color it is. That was not discriminatory, by the way.
And I want to add one more thing, because this is a real-life story that happened in my office. So the agent writes, the agent was looking for a property that the seller was willing to leave the refrigerator, the washer, and dryer. Found the property, because the couple buying it did not want to move their appliances from Chicago. So they showed up to do the walkthrough, and there's no refrigerator, there's no washer, there's no dryer. The buyers have everything in a U-Haul truck. Everybody is panicked. Buyer's agent calls listing agent, and listing agent said, well, you didn't ask for them. Buyer's agent says, but you checked in the MLS that the seller was willing to leave the refrigerator, the washer, and dryer. Seller's agent says, yes, they were willing, but you didn't ask, so we figured you didn't want them, and he sold them. So let me tell you, just because it's in the MLS is an advertisement. That's all it is. It's not a contract. The judge doesn't care what's in the MLS. If your buyer wants a refrigerator, washer, and dryer, even though it's in the MLS, write it in your contract.
I'm so glad that you said that, because one of the things that came up a while back was agents, as a standard of practice, were putting per MLS on their offers. And we've seen agents go in after the offer comes in and change things that are listed on the MLS, because all those fields are adjustable. Now, I like the idea that when you wrote the offer, you printed a copy of what the sheet said, because if it goes to a case, it shows intent, right, of what someone was going to do. But you're right, it's not a part of the contract. Here's another funny thing. If you send that detail full sheet to the other buyer and seller, right, you're actually sending a detail full sheet to a client and not to another agent. You're actually violating the MLS rules. So it's good to have in your file, probably for information, but it's not a party to what the contract says. Same thing for commission. Love it. All right, tell us about your family. Tell us about your family. What does your family look like? Wife, kids?
Really good looking.
Janet?
Okay, so I have a husband. I have two boys who are both grown. One is married, lives in California, and has given me two beautiful red-haired granddaughters. And then I have one who, I don't know if he's ever going to get married. He's single, he owns his own home, he has a good job, he always has a long-term girlfriend, but he's not married.
The question is,
This is more of an advertisement for all you folks at home.
So I have a loving wife of 20 years this July. We have a soon-to-be 19-year-old boy and a couple dogs.
Very cool. He's got a great son, by the way. His son had helped install him as president of the board. It was a moving moment for all of us.
straight out of Hallmark. So I've got a wife of 26 years. I've got a 30-year-old son who's married and has 2 children, 2 of my grandchildren, one 5-year-old boy and one 7-month-old little girl. Then I've got a 25-year-old daughter who has another one of my 5-year-old grandsons. And I have got a 22-year-old daughter that is not married and travels the world and doesn't work. And I'm trying to figure out how all of that works. Like, the younger generation seems to be substantially smarter than me because she literally is leaving for Ireland in a week and she hasn't had a job in 6 months. So, and Daddy's not paying for that, so I don't know how that's working out for her.
Tell everybody what your grandson calls you.
Oh, dude, I'm dude. So my wife did not want to be called grandma, and so she came up with honey. He calls her honey, and I'm dude.
It's the coolest thing in the world to see it happen in person, let me tell you. Okay, so we've had a lot of issues lately about home inspections. What is the agent's role in the home inspection? What do you suggest is best practice?
Can I be honest?
Yes.
Stay the hell out. That's your best practice, in my opinion. So our role in the home inspection is we provide 3 home inspectors. At the time that we go into contract, we ask our buyers to research them, go to their websites, figure out which ones they want to use. I share my personal experiences, of course. They pick it, we arrange it, and that's it. We don't attend them. We don't want to be in the house when they're doing an inspection. We arrange, if our buyer wants to be at the inspection, we arrange for them to show up towards the end, the last half hour or so of the inspection. And then we get the report back the next day. We provide that to our buyer, which they've already got a copy probably, but we send a copy with an email that says, pay attention to pages 1, 2, and 3, which are the summary pages. Are there anything in there that's going to cause you not to buy the home? Please advise on what you'd like us to work on getting repaired for you. I try not to interpret it. I try not to read it. I really don't read it. I mean, it's way too many pages for me to go through, but I mean, for us, it's on the buyer. It's something that the buyer should be concerned about. We don't talk a lot about, oh, you should be worried about this, you should be worried about that. Now, I do go through the summary page, and if there are things they don't pick out that I think are possible appraisal conditions, I'll bring those up and talk about those. And if there's things that I think are livability issues, I'll have a conversation around those. But other than that, I try to stay completely out of it.
Tom?
Not all inspectors or inspection companies are the same. You need to know what you all are agreeing on services to be rendered. Some will have floors that can look in the walls. Some won't. Some will look in attics and do a drone thing on the roof. Others won't. It'll just be a visual inspection from across the street. So it should be up to you to know what inspection companies provide the best stuff in their inspections and provide that to your clients. I get the all 3 and all that kind of malarkey, but if you know a good inspection company, for God's sakes, use them the best that they can so that you have a client that has gotten the best services. I get we're not supposed to tell them where to go, but hell, if you give them 3 choices and 2 are really sucky, and they take one of those 2, how much are you being, real to your client? So
I mean, we obviously provide the 3 best that we know. We don't provide the 3 crappiest ones.
Well, who knows?
Well, these 3 did a bad job, so you should leave. I just want you to know, the last time they really screwed it up, but usually pick one of these 3.
Just be aware of what you're agreeing, what they agree to do on their inspection, because they are not all the same.
I'm surprised. I kind of like part of what you said, not all of it, but
Of course not.
You're right. There are companies that have guns that look into the AC for heat, right? Thermal imaging things, and there's people now that have drone pilot licenses so that they can actually fly above the property and look at it. And I've never had an issue come back with a drone footage. Has anyone? Like the drone footage didn't look great?
I've been to drone find things.
You have had them find things? What did they find wrong? Like broken tiles, things like that?
Yeah.
Cool. I've never had it come up. I think that's interesting.
So I'm a little different than Todd. I'm not a home inspector, but if my sellers are at work and they're not going to be there, I'm going to be at the house. I don't interfere. I usually bring work to do or a good book, and I tell the home inspector, if you find anything that you think is an issue, please call me so I can pass this on to the sellers. With the buyers, I let them in. I want to be sure the buyers and sellers aren't talking to each other during this time, and then I do show up at the end, so when the home inspector is going over with the buyer the issues they found, I am aware of everything that's going on.
So I kind of liked everything that they said respectively, and the one thing I don't want is I don't want someone at a home inspection, an agent, and they look at something and they give their opinion. That's the only worst thing that you can do, because as soon as you say that's not that bad and the house caves in, you're responsible for everything that happened. And so I think I get your point that if I'm there, I'm more apt to say something. I kind of get your point that get someone that knows what they're doing to do a good job, and I absolutely get your point because you're just good at what you do. I had to kiss up after the last
one more
birthday.
thing, because Brandon told me this, so I hope it's true. So, if you have a home inspection, a walkthrough, and you provide a home warranty for your client, all three, then you have no deductible on your E&O.
Cool. Okay, we're gonna go on to the next personal question. And so 15 years in the business,
Way too many.
40 years in the business, 30, how old am I? 38 years in the business. Why have you stayed in it so long? What kept you in real estate with all the ups and downs of the marketplace, all the things that you've been through in all the different markets? Why are you still in the business?
Well, one of the reasons is because Clark County School District pays so horribly that I never wanted to go back to teaching. Because when I first got into real estate, it wouldn't pay for my daycare while I was teaching. So I just kind of blew that off. And then one of the things I liked about it was a real shock to me to be able to have lunch with adults and not have to open milk cartons and all of that good stuff. But it's just different. Every day is different. Every day is a challenge. Every day is exciting. And that's one of the things I like about it.
I don't know. Because when I was a paramedic, I stopped being a paramedic because I really hated people. And so now I've come into real estate, and I still hated dealing with people, and I found a way to do real estate without having to deal with folks, and that was through the banks, because all they cared about was the numbers. But now it's sort of to the point where I guess I've got a little bit of knowledge that I can, give out. It's not the most accurate knowledge all the time, and it's not the most prevalent knowledge at the time, but still, I've seen a lot, and hopefully I can help provide some bit of solace through an issue that you're having that really isn't an issue, but you guys just don't know it. You think it is, and we listen to it, and we think it's going to be okay. And then you go, you know what, it's going to be okay. And then your deal gets done, so that's all I do. Make you feel good.
I have no idea. I really don't.
No idea. So what I'm
So glad you're here.
So it's a challenge for me. Like when I got into real estate about a year after I got my license is when the whole downturn happened and the short sale business started, and the very first short sale I ever did, I tried to figure out what should I do? Like, this person owes more than what it's worth. What do I do? And someone said, try short sale, but they don't work. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let's see if we can figure that out. So for me, it's been the challenge, and it's still the challenge of every day there's some new, as Janet pointed out, something new every day that I get to figure out, and I like to figure stuff out.
So the reason I asked this question comes back to, as you're in this business for a while, every decade, as soon as you figure out exactly how the business works, exactly what to do, the business changes, right? And as soon as you figure out what the change is, people react to it. And it causes us as agents to react to it, and it kind of puts you at that crossroads of, do I want to keep doing this, or do I want to do something else? And to see people as seasoned as you guys are in the business, that have stayed in it after market after market after market, the things that you've seen, takes a lot of grit, in my opinion. It's grit to push through it. But there's always going to come a time, no matter what, no matter how good it is, that you're going to say, do I really want to keep doing this? And it's amazing to see 3 different people and their reasons that have stayed in it. I love it. Perfect. So next question. What do you see, in your opinion, and yes, Tom, I'm actually asking for it, is the biggest problem or issue facing real estate agents over the next 6 months? Biggest problem or issue, and just don't say listings, we all know that, but give us the big issue. You want to start with it? Go ahead.
I don't think the issue has changed that much. I think our issue is marketing ourselves and going and finding the business, figuring out ways to go find business that will support your financial needs. I think it's about lead generation, about lead follow-up. I don't think it's changed that much. The market's changed, but I think we still have the same challenges, and that is, how do we market ourselves? How do we find more business? How do we get in front of the people who need our services, that need our help?
Love it. What a great answer.
Be careful, Tom.
Let's hear from the Realtor of the Year.
Yeah, see, now I gotta try to rephrase this.
Yes, you do.
Here, go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta think about that one now. You put me on the spot.
I really don't know. I think one of the issues I'm seeing right now, and I see it coming for the next couple of months, is one, sellers have total unrealistic pie-in-the-sky dreams as far as the value of their home, and I think that's going to be an issue. This morning, if you saw the news, LVR announced the highest median sales price ever.
Ooh, 385! Woo! Saw it!
Yeah, and so that's going to be an issue because the appraisals are coming in low. Now, I will tell you, during my very active agent days, as a listing agent, I only had one appraisal ever come in low. And it came in $2,000 low, and I almost cried. And it didn't matter, I was on both ends of the deal. But they're not coming in $2,000 low. They're coming in $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 low. And I'm worried about ramifications. We do have a disclosure now down the road when the market starts to shift and all these buyers are going, you made me pay $50,000 more than that house is worth. I want my money back. I think that could be an issue. Not in the next couple months, but 6 months, 8 months down the road.
Love it. Jason.
I'm very sorry to interrupt, but Freddie Mac just announced about 3 weeks ago, it's probably news that hasn't hit a lot of them, but they've added a new, and I cannot remember what the acronym is for the life of me. It's one of the 8,000 acronyms in mortgage. But they basically added a new form that when they think an appraisal is even marginally not what they think in their system is worth, to add a new backup for the value for appraisals already. So it's already happening, basically.
So a waiver to protect the lender?
Yeah, and they want another form. If it's past their threshold, they're asking for another evidence to show that the home is actually worth what the appraisal is.
So for those that couldn't hear it at home, Jason was talking about the fact that mortgage companies, you said Freddie?
Freddie Mac.
Freddie Mac has added in a waiver that you're buying a home that may not be worth what we don't think it's worth.
They're not giving it to the customers, they're making us internally run another report to back the value that came back.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Tom, you've had some time to think about it. Your final answer, please.
Yeah, is not being invested in the outcome. Too many people or too many agents have, best I put it, commission breath, and feel that they have to make this deal work no matter what. And that has probably been the #1 cause of people screwing up the deal, ending up in an ethics charge, or just getting plain out sued because they were trying to make a deal happen when it shouldn't have happened. Don't be invested in the outcome. Help solve the issues that come through. Help the client get what he wants. But if the deal makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's the way it was meant to be.
Love it. I did not give them these questions on purpose, because if I did, I'd get some great stated answer that they wrote out. I wanted to get it right from their heart, and we did. I loved all 3 answers. Next personal question. This is about your personal real estate business. Tell us the best or transaction that you loved the most during your real estate career. That deal that you waited forever that happened. Your favorite deal? Anybody?
I'm still waiting.
I think
Yeah, that's one area.
one of my more fun deals was, I had come back from Guam, went back to work, went back to my same office, and a couple from Guam, military, came in and they wanted to buy their first ever house. And so we talked about what they wanted, and his primary concern, because they'd always lived on base, was to be close to Nellis. So of course, at that time, we went to Sunrise Mountain because even El Dorado was too far from the base for him. So I showed them one house. They loved it. I showed them the second house. It's like, oh, we like the first one best. So we were on the way to number 3, because with military, generally speaking, you need to be with them all day, because if you leave them, they've moved on, because they're here to buy a house. We're driving to the third house on Sunrise Mountain, and the husband says, stop. This is too far from the base. Go back to the first house. We're going to buy that first house. Now this took like 20 minutes. And so we wrote the offer, did everything you're supposed to do as a good agent. It closed. They took me to dinner. I didn't take them to dinner. They sent me a beautiful plant. They were so excited. And just their appreciation and making life so easy, I'm like, yeah, every now and then one falls in your lap. And that one just, well, I'd worked them from a long distance, but it was the easiest sale I ever had.
Very cool.
For me, I don't think it was just one deal. I think it was putting together the processes to handle 400 listings during the REO times and all the sales and all the being able to deal with the agents. Tried our best we could. People are still pissed at me, but so be it.
Some of them are here today.
Yeah. But it was probably putting that all together and being able to meet that challenge of that time during that period.
That's got to be pretty amazing. You happened, or on purpose, into an REO contract that provided you 400 listings. I mean, I'd have a smile on my face.
It was all right.
Yeah.
So I'll share 2. Sorry, Janet, I didn't mean to take your place. The first one
He meant the story.
kind of an odd one that was really one of my favorite ones. I was working with, fairly new to the business, been in for about 6 months, 8 months, working with a lender who had kind of latched on to me and come by and visited me quite a bit. And he come to me one day and he says, me and my wife want to buy a house. And I was like, great, love to help you. So we go out, we go to the very first house that we thought was a match for them, walk in, go through the house, and he looks at me and he says, this is it. This is the house we're buying. And I was like, well, we have like 7 more we're supposed to go look at. Are you sure? No, this is it. We're going to buy this house. And I was like, okay, great. So went back to the office, wrote the offer, got it submitted, got it accepted, no problems. Remember, he's the lender. Don't forget, he's the lender, right? So I didn't do a lot of, I don't know, checking on the loan kind of things, I guess. But we get down to the end of the deal, go to signing. Him and his wife are there. They're signing the loan docs. It's just a great time. They, at the time, they didn't table fund. They had to have the original docs back. And so they get everything signed and send the docs back to the lender, and it's supposed to fund the next morning and close. And I get a phone call at about 8 o'clock at night, the night before it's going to close, and it's the owner of the mortgage company that this guy works for. And he says, hey, I'm just calling to let you know that that transaction will not be recording tomorrow. And they had done some kind of funny things in the loan to try to get, if you know what a straw buyer is, they tried to use a straw buyer, which was quote unquote his mother, who was in a home that wasn't mentally capable of doing so. And again, new in the business. So it was a great transaction because I learned that it didn't matter who was on the other side, no matter who I trusted, I had to do my work, right? So that's kind of a weird one to think of your favorite, but that was kind of fun.
It was like a Disney story. There was a lesson at the end, and some people got hurt.
Yeah, like
but
I was.
okay.
Hey, look, I was in the business like 8 months, and it was an $850,000 house, and I was getting paid. That's all I cared about until about 8:30 that night when I realized, well, that was fun. What's next, right? So The second one probably is one that just recently happened that I got to watch from a broker perspective, not me personally, but an agent in my office. Some of you may know just closed a pretty good sized transaction. And the whole transaction was about 11 days long from start to finish. The client came into town. They took him out to look at 3 different properties. They picked the specific one they closed on. And from the time they wrote the offer and got it accepted until it actually closed, I got to watch the emotional every day. Was they would come in the morning in full stress mode because the attorneys had asked this question and this question and this question, and it was kind of fun to watch them come into my office and go, we don't know what to say, what do we do about this? And we would talk through it, and it was just fun to watch that whole thing. And then when it recorded, they came in my office and you could just tell that it had closed. And so that was a lot of fun for me as well. That wasn't one of mine, but it was cool.
So on that point, next week we'll have a luxury panel talking about this transaction, which is the highest recorded resale on a high-rise ever in Las Vegas for around almost 17 million.
Yeah, 16.25.
Yeah, pretty cool,
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
In 11 days.
Yeah, in 11 days.
And there were 7 attorneys involved. 7, I'm not joking. There were 7 different attorneys
Makes
from
life better, doesn't
different
it?
places. All had their questions and all their concerns.
Okay, so this question came from an agent this week that because of the pandemic, because of everything going on, newer agent, and what would you say if they asked you, in your opinion, should I work from home or from the office?
From the office.
Why?
Because you run, I always, for me it's about, let me ask you a question. If you wanted to get hit by a train, where would you go?
Train station.
There's only one place, right? The train tracks. If you want to get hit with real estate deals, go to the freaking office. That's where real estate happens. You hear people talking about it. You hear new ideas. You have people walk in the front door, oddly enough. I've worked almost every single, when I was hardcore doing real estate, I worked every holiday in the office. You know why? Because every holiday somebody walked through the front door that needed to do real estate. I was the only guy there. It wasn't who should I give this lead to, it was, oh yeah, Todd's here, let me get Todd for you, right? So for me, it's in the office. I know that there's challenges with family and all of that other stuff. And for me, it's about finding a way, and I've been super lucky. My wife of 26 years has always handled that part of my life, and I don't have to worry about how that's gonna happen. And I know people don't have that luxury, but for me, it's in the office, even if it's 4 hours a day. You don't have to be there 8, be there 4. Commit to 4 hours a day, be there 4 hours a day, and your business will double in the first year.
Love it. The train thing that really got me, the analogy.
I mean, if
Wow.
you
Hit me like a ton of bricks.
Go to a train station. You want to get hit with real estate deals? Go to real estate.
I do.
So, yeah, look, go to work, for God's sakes. You know.
That's from Realtor of the Year, folks. You heard it here first.
It's really difficult to stay focused and find stuff that just happens and be able to receive stuff if you're sitting at home by yourself in your home office. If you're here at the office with other people that are doing business and stirring stuff up, you're bound to catch a fly, right? It's gonna happen because you're here where it's happening. It ain't happening at home, it's happening here at the office. So for God's sakes, get off the sofa, turn off the Netflix, and, you know, get dressed. And you know, it doesn't have to be nicely dressed, but just dressed. And, you know, come to the office and see what happens. Be around the people that are doing the business, because that will cause you to do the business and be open to it as well.
Turn off the Netflix, he says.
Everything they just said, I will tell you, when I first started as a brand new agent, my office was, part of the office was about the size of this room. We had 2 rows of desks pushed together, an aisle, 2 rows of desks. I got up, I had no clients, nothing, didn't know what to do. I got up, I got dressed, and I showed up at the office every single day. Why? Because just by sitting there, I learned how to talk to a buyer. I learned how to talk to a seller, not in a class, but just listening to productive people around me. There were no offices, we all sat together. I learned how to talk to a lender. I learned why you have to call the escrow officer it was the best education that I got. And the synergism will push you to do better. And the TV with the washing machine going is not going to push you to be a better agent.
Love it. Great points. Okay, I have 2 questions left, and I think they're 2 of the best. And so you all came from a different perspective into the business. You're here for different reasons. You all have amazing backgrounds from the things that you've done. One of you is Realtor of the Year, I heard. And what is your preferred method of prospecting? How did you build your business?
Well, initially mine was not, there were no cell phones. There wasn't even any real internet. And it was just word of mouth and telling everybody. My sphere of influence at the time, like I said, my husband was still in the military. I went to squadron parties. Oh, I'm selling real estate. Did you know I'm with this company and I'm doing this? And people will call me up on the real phone and say, hey, say, my friends Mary and Tom are in Germany and they have orders to Nellis. Can you send them a letter? Give me their phone number and I will call them. I spent a fortune on long distance phone calls because there were no cell phones. Or my friends so-and-so are in the Philippines and they have orders to Nellis. It was just word of mouth and following up on any little nugget that I received.
So you, just to be clear, you had a social network that you infiltrated by phone or long distance, and you were able to create synergy between that group that caused them to send you a bunch of referrals.
Exactly.
Love it.
I love that word, synergy.
Synergy.
So
You just checked your email, I get it.
mine was a little bit modified. My farm were the banks. And so every single week I sent out a marketing data piece. How many properties were foreclosed on that week? How many went into the default that week? How many sold? What the average sales price was? The whole thing, it happened via fax every single Thursday morning without doubt. And after 6 to 8 months, I got a stupid call from another guy who happened to work at Fannie Mae saying, you've been sending me these goddamn things and, you know, can you send me your resume? And I did. And he goes, oh, you went to UCLA? Yeah, I went to UCLA.
Really? You went to UCLA?
For a class or 2, so I put it down. Yeah.
Been to, graduated from.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Semantics.
Yeah.
This is more like a Lifetime movie. Okay, keep going.
So, you know, that's where I got my break, right? I got the Fannie Mae account and things rolled from there. But it was strictly no different than you all are doing, is marketing to a farm consistently. Not here and there. It has to be consistent because that's the only way you're going to get noticed, is if you consistently are in their face with that piece of material.
That makes perfect sense. I'm surprised. It all came together perfectly, like it was meant to be. But you send it every week?
Yeah, every week.
By fax?
By fax.
Wow.
So spamming existed before emails.
Yes.
Just so you know.
I was a spammer
Spam.
way back when.
So my business was solely built on sphere of influence. No other, I never door knocked, I never cold called, I never, it was only, I would do what's called pop buys. I would go to people's work that I knew. I would take them a coffee or something and just stop in and say, hey, I was down the street showing houses. And so I would go to their offices, I would tell them that I was down the street showing houses, which I wasn't, but I still got to talk about real estate that way. So just sphere of influence, pop buys, talk about real estate.
Great.
That's how it all works.
Perfect. 3 different ways they made it happen. I'm extremely excited to be in business with all of you, and I have a lot of respect for all of you because I've known most of you for the last 15 years that I've been in the business, and you guys really, really amazing people. Last question that we're going to end with, is now a good time to buy or a good time to sell?
Yes.
I love it. He said yes. I know the market's hot, but
Anytime.
The only answer is.
I know, no, hold on, not necessarily. Look, anytime the market going up, the market going down, anytime you have to buy and sell, everybody's worried about, is this the best time to buy or is this the best time to sell? It's always a lateral move, right? All the houses are going up the same, or all the houses are going down the same. So it really doesn't matter. So his yes is correct. But when you just can't say, yes, it's a great time to do it. But why? Because there's always a lateral move. Wherever you're going to go, you're just walking across the street to the next house, and it's the same price going up, the same price going down. So explain it a little bit more.
Tom, why do we have you? Tell us why the real estate market's going up. No, you know the answer.
I know. The funny thing about that is that as the values go up, more rich people are able to afford homes than less rich people. So therefore, they have the houses going up. It's very simple. So it's a very simple strategy.
Let me share with you a true story in my life. So I just got done being president of the board, and when you're president of the board of LVR, you spend a lot of time doing interviews, and you kind of take pride in each of those interviews that you're representing all 15,000 members, and you want to make sure they have the right information so that every realtor that sees it feels good about it. And it would have been my last interview, and now I turned the reins over to Janet, and Janet was out of town, so she let Tom do an interview. And in that interview, the question was asked, why is the market going up? And Tom gave an honest answer, because more rich people are buying houses. And we got phone calls about that for a couple of weeks. But in honesty, it's true. What's the median price?
$385.
$385. I mean, it's unbelievable that he's been right all this time. Janet, it's now a good time to buy or sell.
Yes, it is, and it doesn't really matter for you as an agent. When I first got in the business, brand new, interest rates were 17%. I didn't know that was bad.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about real estate before I got in, except Janet, sign your name right here and don't forget the date. So it is what you make it. It's your perception. If you're like, I'm a realtor, I know what to do, I've been taught what to do, and I'm going to do it. It's a good time to list. It's a good time to have buyers.
Love it. Just to give you a little information going forward. So next week, we will have that luxury panel we talked about. Todd is going to help me interview those two agents that did that incredible deal and the process they went through. Congratulations, Todd. And after that, the following week, we are going to have a special guest and appraiser that's going to be here telling us all the struggles, the trials and tribulations that they're dealing with in the marketplace and the best way to interact with them and what's going on. And at the end of the month, I don't know if they know this yet, but we don't really get to see our office managers and the incredible staff we have here at Signature up at a sales meeting. And so we're going to talk with them and get to know them a little bit better so we can find out more about them like we did this great group. So let's give it up to our brokers for their information. As the market continues to tighten, as Tom has said, and gets hotter and hotter, you guys are coming up with issues and struggles in the deal. Remember, we have some of the best and the brightest in the business here to help you. So give them a call if you need it, and make it a great week. Thank you so much for joining us.